Thank you. I very much appreciate the opportunity to speak with you. I want to thank Chairman McGovern, Ranking Member Cole, and members of the committee for hosting today's hearing to solicit ideas from members on rules for our next 117th Congress. I'd like to discuss my views on the motion to recommit as outlined in Rule 19. As a majoritarian institution, the MTR represents one of the last opportunities in the House for those in the minority to influence legislation being considered on the floor. In principle, I support the MTR as a procedure that keeps debate alive and retains minority rights within the House. In practice, however, the minority party, both Democrats and Republicans, use the MTR as a partisan cudgel or just as often an attempt to artificially create a wedge issue. Using the MTR as a wedge along partisan fault lines is certainly the prerogative of the minority party. And again, both Democrats and Republicans have used the MTR toward that end over the decades. But what has been different this Congress, and what I find not just reprehensible, but in fact dangerous, is the Republican use of American Jews, Jewish heritage, and the long-fought battle against the scourge of anti-Semitism to divide us. The Great Seal of the United States bears the motto, E pluribus unum, out of many, one. It reflects the national ethos that has long given strength to our nation. It should be a principle that unites us. So it is concerning when any group of Americans is used as a prop to sow division. Using American Jews who have long faced bigotry and very real threats of violence is something altogether different. The alt-right Unite the Right rally in Charlottesville in 2017 and subsequent attacks in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania and Poway, California are examples that dominate the news, but they are just the tip of the iceberg. According to the Anti-Defamation League, or ADL, anti-Semitic incidents increased by 12% in the United States in 2019 and marked the highest number in ADL's 4 decades of record keeping. I have no doubt that all my colleagues on both sides of the aisle oppose bigotry and hatred in any form, including anti-Semitism. And so no party should ever assert that there is anything but unanimous opposition within the House against anti-Semitism. To do otherwise raises the risk of empowering those who traffic in hate and who would like nothing more than to believe that they have allies within the U.S. Congress who support their anti-Semitic views. I want to repeat myself. The MTR provides a venue for debate on worthy issues of divergent opinions. But when action on the floor of the U.S. House of Representatives dehumanizes any group, in this case American Jews facing anti-Semitism, it diminishes the institution and does a disservice to our nation. The cynical ploy of weaponizing anti-Semitism for political gain is as offensive as it is dangerous. Again, MTR should be a tool to insert healthy debate within the legislative process, and parties may choose to use it to push their agenda or put the majority party on the record. Minority parties should not, however, cynically use any of our citizens or group of citizens as a wedge or a pawn. We don't know who will be in the majority in the next Congress. I believe, therefore, that we can now take this opportunity to prohibit the use of MTRs in the next Congress until there is a bipartisan agreement that, while we can and often should invoke controversial issues on policy disagreements, we must never use the MTR to subvert our common goal of condemning anti-Semitism. I support the MTR as a way to retain the minority's voice in the legislative process, but I refuse to condone how it has been used by Republicans this Congress to infer Democrats or any member of this body are not sufficiently opposed to anti-Semitism. I also support proposals to require a higher bar for passage of an MTR, such as requiring 2/3 of votes for passage, similar to suspension bills. When we're legislating on the fly, as is the case with MTRs, it's important that we get the details right. Thank you for providing me the opportunity to speak on how MTRs have been used in this Congress. And with that, I yield back.
Thank you very much. Mr. Liu.